What's up, everybody? This is Mr. Lake Lure coming at you live from my back deck. I just had people, my phone's ringing off the hook. I just had people call me about a pre-evacuation order that was just issued. Just issued a pre-evacuation order. As soon as I got this phone call from some of my friends and colleagues, I immediately jumped on the Town of Lake Lure's website. I did not see anything. I jumped on the Town of Lake Lure's Facebook page. Did not see anything. So as I have been telling all of you from the very beginning, whenever you have a question, whenever you aren't sure about something, whenever you need to know what's going on, you need to call the Party Rock Fire hotline at 828-513-2500. 828-513-2500. The other phone number for the evacuation, no, not the evacuation line, but the Party Rock and Fire Information line is area code 336. Yes, it is a 336, area code 336-455-9641. That's 336-455-9641. A lot of you know that I've been doing these broadcasts all week. Sometimes we joke around. Sometimes we have some fun. This is a serious broadcast. I just received phone calls from some of my friends and colleagues that they had received pre-evacuation orders via voicemail. I went to several websites. I could not find information, so I thought maybe I should jump on here and do an announcement because a lot of you are following me. We've, of course, the things I've been talking about all along. We have that large Facebook following, and I'm going to kind of talk slow and talk through this because I want to get as many people on as possible. What I want you to do, if you don't do it for any other broadcast I've ever done, I want you all to hit the share button at the bottom left because this is information that's just coming out. It's a Friday night. There's a lot of folks that are around having dinner, doing their thing, whatever they do on Friday nights, going to the movies, shopping. They're not going to know about this. And even if they do get the recording, and again, I'm not knocking anybody. You know, I got great love for the town, and everybody's trying to get this information out as fast as possible. But it's not readily available everywhere yet. But I did just get the recording, and then I called the evacuation line, and it rang several times, which is a little bit. Hang on, guys, I'll tell you where the evacuations orders are. So just bear with me here while I talk through some of this. If you call that number. And I keep calling it evacuation line because I'm trying to read through these notes, but it's the Lake Lure Party Rock Fire Information line. If you call that number, generally what happens, even late in the evening, is you get people that are manning those phone calls and manning those phone lines. I would imagine that because these pre-recorded messages have gone out to residents, that perhaps, I'm not saying this for sure, but my guess is perhaps they've gone ahead and put a pre-recorded message on that line. So if you call that number, it will give you all the evacuation areas. This, again, is a pre-evacuation. A pre-evacuation, so I don't want anybody to panic. But you do need to be prepared. They're calling for high winds. This pre-evacuation order was issued because they're calling it a critical fire condition for Saturday and Sunday. They are anticipating sustained high winds. Sustained high winds. For Saturday and Sunday, critical fire conditions. And these are the areas where they are doing a pre-evacuation. Riverbend Highlands, Buffalo Creek Road, the subdivision of Three Creeks, the subdivision of Tatanka, the Shumont Estates area, and I'm assuming, they did not say specifically, but I'm assuming the Shumont Estates area of Rumbling Bald. They said Shumont Estates. I'm assuming because of the general area where this is, Tatanka is right next to Shumont Estates. I'm assuming this is Shumont Estates area of Rumbling Bald Resort. Apple Valley section of Rumbling Bald Resort, one of those areas that had not gone through evacuation before. You are now under a pre-evacuation order. And a portion of Buffalo Shoals Road. If you call that number, they will tell you which sections of Buffalo Shoals Road. They started to talk. I had already called the guy who speaks on the on the pre-recording he speaks very fast. So I had to call back 2 or 3 times to write the information down, because he blows through it so quickly that in order to take notes, I had to go back 2 or 3 times. I didn't want to call back a 4th time to get the exact area of Buffalo Shoals Road, because Buffalo Shoals Road is it's long, but it's not that long. So you can call that number. It'll probably ring 8 or 10 times before it picks up. So don't hang up thinking nobody's there. There is a pre-recorded message. It's going to ring 8, 10 times before it picks up. And then there's a very lengthy thing telling you basically the same thing that I'm telling you now. I'll repeat it again. A critical fire condition, pre-evacuation warning going out now. They just sent it out. And here's what you should do. Let me stop myself. Here's what you should do. Go to the Town of Lake Lure website. We've told you this in some of our prior broadcasts that we've done. Go to the Town of Lake Lure website. They have 2 phone apps that you can download, and they will give you text alerts on your phone, and I think you can also register for the phone alerts. I don't know if the phone alerts came to these residents. A couple of the residents that called me were from out of the area, not in the immediate area of the evacuation. So I'm thinking, and I'm not positive, but I'm thinking that these folks have registered on when they downloaded these apps. I'm thinking they probably registered, and then they got a pre-recorded voicemail. It was the very same voicemail that they are that's going out on the Lake Lure Party Rock Fire Information Line. It's the same voicemail that's going out automated to residents. Anybody who has, and some of what we talked about with some of the folks who've been working with the command center is that a lot of the contact information that they have gathered is from the people that have called into the information line prior. So if you've called into the information line prior, you might get that pre-recorded message, because they're gathering information as people call in. I've been told that by people that work at the fire department, so I'm assuming that's true. But again, I'm just going to keep talking. We got anywhere from 100 to 150 folks that are jumping on and off of here. And for those of you that live up here in Lake Lure, I'll go through it again. Just got a phone call from some colleagues, a few different colleagues actually, warning me about a voicemail they received. And they themselves jumped on a couple different sources, places where they generally can find information. They could not find anything about it. Before I got on here live, I thought I'll do the same thing. So I jumped on the Town and Lake Lure website. I surfed through a couple links real quick, couldn't find anything that was an immediate big warning. And then I went to the Town of Lake Lure's Facebook page, did not see anything that was an immediate big warning. And then my friends were texting me saying, that the voicemail they got was prompting people that if they needed more information, to call that that fire information line. And when you call the fire information line, you basically get that long pre-recorded message again. So what they're telling you on that message is, am I going to get evacuated? No. I do not live in one of these areas. I live just outside the resort. I live in Bills Creek. But anyway, the outgoing message basically says that there is a critical fire condition warning going out for Saturday and Sunday, that they anticipate sustained strong winds, and they are giving a pre-evacuation. This is not an evacuation yet, but this is a pre-evacuation. Thank you for I see Bobby has jumped on my Facebook account, and she's typing in the hotline number as I'm speaking. We kind of all do this as a team. We've gone out and done these broadcasts where Mariah has jumped on and done notes while Bobby's recording, and I'm doing the talking. So we all work as a team at our office, trying to get this stuff out to you as quickly as possible. Especially in a situation like this where people they're going to get a little nervous. They're going to jump on the internet. They're not going to know where to go. So hopefully, because of our social media following, people will get this coming right to their phone. And if a lot of you have, what you might want to do, and again, this is not for me, at the end of this broadcast, you're going to see a little thing that says subscribe to future live broadcasts. So when my broadcast here is over, there's going to be a little button on your screen. The screen's going to go black. It's going to say that this broadcast has ended, and there's going to be a little button that says press here to subscribe for future broadcasts. And then when I do broadcasts, you will get a little alert that comes on. It depends on your phone. Sometimes it'll flash on your phone. Sometimes you'll get a text message, depending on how it's set up. You will get an alert from me, and I see it's coming across right now on my phone. I'm getting an advisory from the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office. I can't read it because I'm broadcasting at the same time, but it is starting to go out more widespread now. I'm also subscribed to Nixle. I don't know if some of you are subscribed to Nixle. Maybe Bobby can type the name of that in there in the broadcast for me. And I think it's Nixle. And that is kind of like a police advisory type of website where you can go on there. Same thing, you register, you download an app, and then whenever there's weather alerts about ice, fire, wind, missing persons, any kind of alerts like that that are local, they will also do the same thing. They will send you alerts, and I just got one that came across from the Sheriff's Department about this exact same thing. So it looks like over the last 10 minutes or so, they're starting to get this out on a more widespread area. Bobby is typing in those areas for you. I see them coming across my screen. Shumon Estates, Tatanka, Riverbend Highlands, Buffalo Creek, Three Creeks, Apple Valley, Buffalo Shoals Road north of Moffat. So if you're on Buffalo Shoals Road north of Moffat, you're in pre-evacuation. Nancy has put in Rutherford County, code red alert, critical fire conditions will be present over the area Saturday and Sunday. She's got the Nixle address in there for you guys. That's a great source to go to. Two places you want to go because this thing is getting a little bit more widespread. Don't want to cause panic, but what I want to do is give you guys sources of information where you can go so that you don't depend on me sitting on my deck at 10 o'clock at night on a Friday bringing this to you. I love doing it. I'll do it any time of the day or night that I get these things. But if you've got me doing it, and then you've got Nixle sending you alerts, and then you've got the town has two. I think one's called Code Red, and I forget what the other one is. But if you go to the Town of Lake Lure website, right on their homepage on the left-hand column is all of the stuff that has to do with the fire up here. In the left-hand column. So you go to that left-hand column, and one of the things that you can select over there is there's something about emergency notification apps, for your phone. You click on that, you go there, and you can it points you to where to go to get these apps that give you warnings. So Nixle is a good place to go. If Bobby could just keep typing in Nixle's information, or whoever else was typing that in there. Because what's going to happen is, okay, so we're getting folks, it's 2,500. Somebody called 828-513-2600. It's probably a typo if whoever's trying to help out putting these numbers in. It's 828-513-2500. 828-513-2500. It's going to ring 8 or 10 times, or at least it did for me. So I think Gene Stratton, I don't know about Gene Stratton. I would imagine if you go on the Town Lake Lure website, I would imagine over the next 10 or 15 minutes, I would hope that they would post that evacuation map. They have done that in the past for all the evacuation areas. You go onto the website. Again, on that left-hand column, they have a section that says evacuation maps. You go to the evacuation map, and they've done an excellent job of outlining what areas are being evacuated. Then they color code it, what areas are pre-evacuation, what areas are mandatory evacuation. They've done that for areas that have already. Thank you, Julia. That number's on there on the screen for you guys. The town is doing a fantastic job of keeping those evacuation maps updated. So if they're not updated right now, I'm sure they will be here pretty soon. Nancy is typing this stuff in. Again, there's the Nixle address. You go there, you can look at their warnings, you can, and you can also register at Nixle. It's great because whether it's this or whether it's ice in the wintertime or whether it's heavy rains in the summer or a missing person, if somebody's Alzheimer's relative goes out and they can't find them, you get all kinds of alerts. They don't inundate you with alerts, but whenever something is important, you get the alert. So it's kind of cool. So go ahead. Somebody on here is saying that Gene Stratton Road is okay. So that's good news if that's where you're at. But let me just kind of read through this again. We've got again another, Bobby is saying not to Gene Stratton Road. So that's kind of clarification. A couple different folks have jumped on there. I've got to block a couple of people that are coming on here and just typing nonsense on the on the line as it rolls through. If I'm blocking you, please don't take it personally. It's just, this is for those of us that are in the fire areas, for those of us that have been working this day in and day out, trying to do whatever we can. We take this relatively seriously. And if you're jumping on my broadcast just to give shout outs to your friends and talk nonsense, I'm going to block you just because I think it's the best thing to do. This is a serious situation for those of us that live up here. What I'm going to do again is I'm going to just keep reading through this, because when these broadcasts go out live, if you have subscribed to me or you've subscribed to my broadcasts, it will give you an alert. If you have not subscribed to my broadcasts, eventually over your alerts, over your little timeline notifications, you'll see, hey, Greg Balk's live. So people are going to jump on and off of this. They're going to jump on. They're going to get the information that they need. They're going to jump off. So at any one time over the last 10 minutes that I've been on, we've had 100 to 175 people jumping on and off. So hopefully you're jumping on. You're getting the information that you need. You're jumping off. So if I'm repetitive, just know that I'm probably not going to give you any new information. So if you've already got what you need out of this, and you're in one of those areas, you should probably at least start to do a little thinking about what you're going to do if you have to evacuate. I would say, I to be honest with you, I haven't researched the town site to see if they have like maybe a link for things you might want to think about if you're going to evacuate. But I do know one thing, and thank you, Jan Ford. Here's what I want all you guys to do. At the bottom left of your screen, there should be a little button that says share. Please, if you are on this broadcast, that means that you are probably either you're connected to Lake Lure in some way. You're probably a property owner, a homeowner. You live here. You've got friends here. You're somehow connected to Lake Lure. So what I would like you guys to do is, if you're connected to Lake Lure, you probably have friends that are connected to Lake Lure. So at the bottom left of your screen is a button that says share. For those of you that aren't real internet savvy, you don't have to do a whole lot. You just press that button and it shares it to your timeline. So if I've got 5,000 or 6,000 people that this goes out to, and if even 5% of those hit that share button, and if each one of you have 200, 300, 400 friends, it's going to go out to those people that see your timeline. So help us exponentially share this and get the word out, because this does affect a lot of communities now. Of course, the other evacuation orders that we had, of course, they did affect some large areas, the whole stretch of Boys Camp Road and the main belly of the resort. We're talking about 400 residents. We're probably going to have just as many residents, if not more, with this alert. So this is a relatively big deal. So let me read through this again, and then I want to talk a little bit about pets. I want to give out the Nixle information again. We'll give out the information line again. Any of you that are on this broadcast now, don't be shy. If you have some input that you want to give about animals, if you have shelters that you know of that are accepting animals, if you have advice about evacuation, if you've helped somebody else get ready for an evacuation and you have some tips, some ideas, put it on here. Just throw it on the timeline and say, hey, when I was helping my friend evacuate, we didn't think about this, or here's an idea, something you've got to think about. So one of those things is, one of those things Bobby is putting in here, pre-evacuation, is important because you have to be ready. Because here's what happened. I did a broadcast on Saturday, and it was one of the most popular because what it showed was how fast things can change. You can have a pre-evacuation order, and that pre-evacuation order can be in effect for 2, 3, 4 days. And then you might have 2 or 3 hours to get ready to leave once you get the evacuation order. The folks that are giving out the evacuation orders, of course, they want to give you as much information as possible. But now think about this. If you are in a situation this weekend where there's high winds, where it's a fluid situation, where things are happening rapidly, and the different sources are trying to get information out as fast as possible. Give me 1 second, Alyssa, and I'll go through the neighborhoods again. And Bobby, if you could type those neighborhoods in again, that'd be awesome, because folks are jumping on right now, and they're just now getting on, and they're saying, hey, where are these neighborhoods? So anybody that can type those neighborhoods in would be awesome. Type in that information line number again. That'd be awesome if you folks just keep typing that in. Type in that folks have to let it ring 8-10 times, or at least I did before the line will pick up, and you'll get a pre-recorded message with all of the neighborhoods. But back to the evacuation thing, you need to plan early. They're giving you this notice now so that you can plan now, because what happens is they try and give you as much notice for the final mandatory evacuation as they can, but they can't always give you the lead time that everybody would like to have. Sometimes it's a couple hours, sometimes it's a half a day. We just don't know how that's going to come down, and it all depends, especially this weekend. It's going to depend on weather conditions. If it's high winds, there could be some evacuation orders that come down rather quickly, and they have done that before. Over the weekend, this Saturday, I personally know people that were evacuated from their home at about 11:30 in the morning. They received a phone call saying you can go back to your home, and at 4:30 in the afternoon, they had an evacuation order to leave again. That's how quickly these things can change. The reason I'm telling you this is because now there are a half a dozen at least neighborhoods that have pre-evacuation orders that are currently in place. They just went out at about 9:30. Go ahead and get ready. Don't panic, but just start gathering your personal financial documents, gather your financial documents, get things in order. One thing you've got to do, thank you, Bobby, for typing those neighborhoods in again for me. One thing you've got to do, and do it tonight if you can. This is one of the very first things that you should do. Make arrangements for your pets. What's going to happen is you are going to get an evacuation order. Hopefully not. We all hope that you don't get an evacuation order. But if you get an evacuation order tomorrow or Sunday or over the weekend, you're probably, because of high winds and as fast and fluid as this situation is moving, you might not have much time. So you're going to pack your car, you're going to be getting your kids together, or whatever it might be. Maybe you've got elderly family members that you're coming up to help, you're getting them situated, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do with the cat? What are we going to do with the bird? We've got 4 dogs. What are we going to do with the dogs? We made a arrangement for a hotel or a motel or to stay with a friend, but we can't take our dogs. Now what do? We've got a place to stay, but we can't take the animals. Go back to some of my old broadcasts. In most of my old broadcasts, or if you go back to my timeline on Mr. Lake Lore Facebook page, I'm not promoting myself, guys. This is where my information is. Go back to my page, Mr. Lake Lore Facebook page, Greg Balk Facebook page. Go to the town's website. All of those places have information about the Humane Society, about volunteers that are helping with pets, about places like Rutherford Pet Supply that have coordinated volunteers that are helping transport pets. So these resources are available to you. But I just now firsthand experienced what it's like to jump on the internet and try and find information at a moment's notice, because a friend of mine called me and said, hey, there's an evacuation order going out for multiple neighborhoods. Maybe you might want to broadcast it. So I thought, yeah, I want to broadcast it. So I jump on the internet. I couldn't find anything. Again, I'm not bagging on the town. I'm not talking bad about anybody. What I'm trying to do is increase awareness that you might not have advance notice, and sometimes you have to search for the information and you just can't find it. So if this is going out to you, everybody, please share this broadcast. At the bottom left of your screen, you see a little button that says share. Do it for me. Do it because if you share it, it goes out exponentially to more people. And if they share it, it goes out exponentially to more people. If you share it on your timeline and somebody else sees it, and then they share it to their friends, it exponentially helps increase the message to all these neighborhoods. There have been some folks on this broadcast that have been very, very helpful about typing in the neighborhoods. Keep doing that every 3 or 4 minutes. If you would do so, we're jumping up. I see the count will go down as low as 50. It'll go back up as high as 150 people that are on the broadcast. People are jumping on, they're getting the information, and they're jumping off. There are some people that are very, very savvy about the whole pet situation. Looks like Christine's got some good advice. At least if you know you're going to take your pets with you, and I'm just going to ramble because I've been doing this now for 2 weeks. I guess it's been 2 weeks. I'm not the official source of information. I never wanted to be. I started to do this in the very beginning because I have a large social network following of people that own property here because I am a realtor. Yes, I'm a realtor. No, I'm not promoting myself, but I have a lot of clients that follow me because they're interested in real estate in Lake Lure. They're homeowners that do not live here. And so what we try and do is get this information out to people. It looks like, who was I'm scrolling back. It looks like Christine has some good ideas. Get the kennel ready. If you know where you're going to take your pets, maybe you've made these arrangements. Maybe you've thought to yourself over the last week or two, hey, what if this spreads to my neighborhood? And if you've had enough forethought to say, okay, I know I'm going to take my animal with me. I know I can take my animal to so and so's house. I know I can take my animal with me to the motel because I've made arrangements. Make sure you've got something to transport them in. If you've got a cat and I got somewhere I can take my cat, and then all of a sudden now you've got to evacuate and you gave no forethought to how am I going to get my cat there? I can't just throw him in my car. My cat freaks out. I've got that contacted me today to say, I have an exotic bird. I don't have any place I can keep it. I'm temporarily out of my house. What do I do with this exotic bird? So, he wants me to post tomorrow that he's got a bird. He wants me to help him find somewhere to take it. Cindy, can you bring me that and bring me something to drink? Because my throat is like burning. Thank you very much. I have my emergency management system here is helping me with blankets because I'm sitting outside and something to drink because as I talk, my throat gets. I'm out here. It is smoky where I live. Some folks have asked, where do you live, or are you getting evacuated? I am not getting evacuated. I live in Bills Creek. Bills Creek is very close to some of these areas. I'm on the edge of the resort, and it's very, very smoky where I live. So this is a sparkling ice, sugar-free. Cheers. Did you need anything else, Cindy? All right. So we're back to 115 that are on here. I'm assuming that some of you have already jumped off. I'm going to go ahead and read this again from the top. A critical fire condition pre-evacuation, not evacuation, pre-evacuation, which means get ready, get prepared, pack your most valuable documents and things you need to take with you. Make arrangements for your pets. Make arrangements where you're going to go. Make arrangements where you're going to stay. Make arrangements how you're going to get there. If you're elderly and you don't drive, start making some calls. Who's going to take you? There are volunteers that can help you if you are elderly and don't drive. If you have a medical condition and you can't drive, there are places and people that can help you. You can call that information line and they will help you coordinate some of that. Town of Lake Lure has resources, I do believe, for some of that on their website. So just start thinking about all of those things now. And the reason I'm kind of talking about it long-winded is because when the evacuation order came down for Rumbling Bald Resort, it came down rather quickly. And at least I didn't have a lot of time and forethought into, wow, what if this happens on a mass scale? It happened through like Boys Camp Road and kind of around the same time. And they had given some pre-evacuation orders out for parts of Rumbling Bald. And then at the drop of a dime, all of a sudden, it was like the whole belly of Rumbling Bald. Everything behind the gates, everybody behind the gates had to evacuate. And so a lot of people that were trying to disseminate this information and get things out and get advice out to people didn't really have the kind of the lead time to say, here's the things that you should think about. People here don't think about this. They don't think about fire. I've been here for 11 years. I moved here from California. In California, we have fires all the time in California. It's a relatively common thing. I've been in Lake Lure for 11 years. We've never had a major fire like this since I've lived here. We've had some small fires, and our heroes come in helicopters and water, and they suck water out of the lake, and they put them out. We've never had anything like this on a mass scale in Lake Lure since I have been here. So over the last 2 weeks, because I've been trying to do some of this for people out there, I've learned kind of what to think about. I've learned what to talk about. I've Bobby and Mariah and people in my office have helped me gather information, vet information. Bobby has spent countless hours on the internet daily gathering this information, and then we have to vet the information to make sure it's good, because the town is telling us, hey, there's a lot of social media outlets out there that are just giving you bogus information, somebody's opinion, something they might have read somewhere on the internet. So not only are we gathering information, we're vetting that information, and then we're giving it to you. The reason I'm rambling on about that is because now we've educated ourselves enough where we have some advice to give you. We have at least some thoughts to get you start to thinking about, okay, I've got a pre-evacuation order. It's 10 o'clock at night on a Friday. They say that it's going to last all weekend. What do I do? What do I think about? Where do I start? People panic. And I don't want this to be a panic broadcast. I want this to be a get prepared broadcast. I talk fast. I talk loud. That's my nature. I'm not doing it because I want anybody to panic. That's just how I talk, and I'm a kind of a high energy A type personality. So please don't take my demeanor as any kind of panic, but take my demeanor as I'm trying to get as much information out to you as possible so that you can start to think about what you might want to do. I'm going to read through this order again, and then I'll give you a few more thoughts on things you might want to think about. Critical fire conditions Saturday and Sunday have prompted a pre-evacuation, not an evacuation, a pre-evacuation, which means you start planning because of sustained strong winds that they anticipate on Saturday and on Sunday. Cindy, can you bring me the battery that's, yeah. Sorry guys, I'm running low on battery because I did not plan on doing this. What's up, Janelle? I see people shouting out to me. Hey, Mr. Lake Lure. So sustained high winds over the weekend have prompted this pre-evacuation warning. It has gone out in voicemail form to a lot of people. So your phone will ring. You'll get a pre-recorded message that says, here's what's happening. The message goes relatively quickly. Whoever did the message, they talk rather fast because there's a lot of information they had to jam into a short message. I see that Bobby has just typed in that number again, 828-513-2500. You can call that number and it will give you I think it's the exact same message that went out on the pre-recording. It talks about the fact that there's high winds this weekend. It talks about the fact that it's going to take the pre-evacuation, I think, stays in effect for the whole weekend. It gives you a list of the communities. So that's 828-513-2500. Rachel has jumped on. She has been amazing advocate for animals and the Humane Society. 828-286-0222. I don't know if that's her number or if that is a volunteer's number, but I'm sure if she's putting it out there, 828-980-4000. Those are two numbers for the Humane Society, and either Rachel's number or somebody else's number that's going to hook you up. Rachel has been a big proponent from day one. Sorry, I'm trying to plug my phone in if I'm doing the Blur Witch on you guys here. Rachel has been an amazing advocate for what to do if you are in this situation. Hopefully my phone is charging. My little light's on here. What to do if you're in this situation and you have pets. And a couple things that you want to think about is, do you have what they call, I think they call it farrowed cats. I can't do this if you're coming out. Is that what you're coming for? Are you bringing me more? Okay. Sorry. Thank you. Feral cats. So if you've got cats that you keep at your house that are outside, and maybe they're outside cats, they're not house cats. They don't come inside with you, and you feed them, and they kind of just wander around your property. Now you've got to think about, what am I going to do with that cat? How am I going to get that feral? Thank you, Rachel. Feral cat. How am I going to get that cat off my property? Get it safe. Get it transported, because I can't just leave it behind. You don't want to leave it behind. So you have to start thinking about these things now. That's why they're giving you this pre-evacuation order. You have to think about, do I have to trap it? Does it live under my house? One thing that I've learned through this process, especially from Rachel and some of the others, is that these animals will go where they think it's safe. They will go under your house. They will go under a structure on your property that has always been their safe place. what they think is their safe place is no longer their safe place. There might be a little outbuilding on your property where your feral cats go because they think it's safe. That's where they've always been safe from the neighborhood dogs and whatever else is out there. So whenever they get in a situation like this, they can sense what's going on. They climb underneath that outside structure and they hunker down, thinking that they are going to, weather the storm. Cats don't know that that's probably the worst place they can go. They're going to go under some structure that's a high risk to get burned. So you've got to get those animals off the property. And as Rachel's saying on this broadcast, it takes time and energy sometimes to catch them. And that's why hopefully you've got a day or two. Heaven forbid we get an evacuation order. I'm going to switch arms here. My arm's getting sore. Hopefully you've got a day or two to start making these arrangements. You've got a day or two, to make arrangements for the animals. You've got a day or two to maybe borrow a cage if you need one, or to get one of these Humane Society resources to help you, capture these animals, help you transport them, help you make arrangements on where you're going to keep them. There are places like Rutherford Pet Supply and the Humane Society that are coordinating places where animals can be boarded. I know there's a couple of grooming facilities that are not doing grooming anymore because they're offering the cages that they have inside their grooming facility, where instead of doing grooming, they're going to do boarding instead of grooming for maybe a week or two, so that there's places for animals to stay. It's very hard for me to read all of these comments that are going through, so I might be repeating some of the stuff that's coming through on these comments. If I am, that's awesome, because it's just more ways to get it to you, whether you're reading the things that scroll across your screen, or whether I'm saying them, or whether we're duplicating it, whatever it takes to get this information out to you. The reason I'm so long-winded and just going on is because there are people that will jump on the broadcast, they will hear this, they've got the information they need to get, they're going to get off and either start making plans, for evacuating, or they are going to, whatever they got to do. If they're going to jump off here and jump on the internet, if they're going to start making plans, they're going to go make arrangements for the animals, whatever they got to do. So I'm going to keep reading and keep talking, because people are going to jump on, they're going to jump off. And now if somebody has just jumped on here for the first time and they're like, what's he talking about? I saw this thing come across my timeline. It says evacuation order. What's he talking about? So I'm just going to keep repeating myself for a little while here. Don't leave the elderly, and don't leave the pets. I mean, think about these things ahead of time. Elderly neighbors. Do you have an elderly neighbor? Maybe you're prepared. Maybe you're like, you know what? I've been preparing for this. I was thinking maybe it would come into my neighborhood. I was hoping it wouldn't, but maybe I was prepared. I've been through this before, maybe. And maybe you're prepared, and then you start to think to yourself, you know what? What about so-and-so down the street? And maybe you have an elderly neighbor in the resort or wherever you live where you don't see people there that often. Go knock on their door. Make sure they're prepared to move. 828-513-2500. Thank you very much again for posting that number. Keep posting it if you would. That is the information line for the Party Rock Fire. Amazing folks down there at the command center. They might not be answering that line right now because they might still be cycling through that pre-recorded message. I imagine the phone's ringing off the hook, and it might be more efficient for them to have an outgoing message than it would be to answer every single call and every single question. So I did call down there after I got the message, and it was an outgoing message saying, "Here's the neighborhoods." I'll read them off to you. Even though that folks are typing them over and over. Riverbend Highlands. Riverbend Highlands is a neighborhood that is not easy to get to. I have been to Riverbend Highlands with other realtors in their car, and their car would not make it up the gravel roads to Riverbend Highlands. They had a little 4-cylinder Honda. We did not make it up the gravel roads in the little 4-cylinder Honda. I'm not saying that you can't. What I'm telling you is make arrangements now that you have this evacuation order in place. If somebody's going to come get you Saturday or Sunday, if you live up there and for whatever reason your car's broke down, you're elderly, you don't drive, you don't have a license, somebody's coming to get you, make sure they can get up there. Riverbend Highlands is not the easiest place to get to in some areas for some vehicles. Some of the roads get a little bit steep. They are gravel, and if you got a little 4-cylinder, you're just going to spin. You might not make it up there. Rang several times before the recorded message starts. Yes, Glory, that is true. And if you call that number, I almost hung up. I let it ring 8, 10 times. I thought, oop, maybe I dialed wrong. And then the message came on. Let it ring. It's going to take 8 or 10 rings before it picks up. When it picks up, you will get a lengthy message that tells you about the evacuation order or the pre-evacuation order. I got to remember to keep saying that. It's a pre-evacuation. It's not evacuation. It's a pre-evacuation, meaning get ready. I was trying to write it all down, so I had to call back 2, 3 times to write it all down. If you're just calling for yourself to find out if your neighborhood is involved or what the message has to say, you're probably going to have to listen to it one time. I had to listen to it 2, 3 times because I was trying to write stuff down. Town and Lake Lure, Code Red Alerts is one of the apps that you can download onto your phone. And if I'm not mistaken, that's how some of these people are getting these alerts. You go there, you sign up, you register. I think you give me your email address, your name and phone number. That way, if there's an alert, you get it on your phone. And I'm not sure. I mean, I'm assuming that these are how these resources work. I have not personally downloaded the app because I've got other sources where I get this information from. Go to the Town of Lake Lure website, townoflakelure.com. Download these apps on your phone. Do it tonight. Now that you know there's an evacuation order in place or a pre-evacuation order in place, go to townoflakelure.com. Do it on your phone so that you can download the app, or it will give you a link to where to go to download the app. That way, if the evacuation order comes down over the weekend, you're going to get it first. You're not going to depend on somebody like me to bring it to you from Facebook. You're not going to depend on your friend to call you, or maybe somebody's got your voicemail, your phone number, so that you're going to get the voicemail. Go on there tonight. Download the app. Go to Nixle, Nixle, I believe it is, Bobby, if you could correct me. That's another great app that you can go to. So townoflakelure.com, go there, download the app, because now the pre-evacuation order is out. So if you get evacuated, you're going to know ahead of time, or at least with as much notice as possible. Tonight, I tried to jump off the phone. Bobby called me and said, hey, this order's going out. Go online, see what you can find. Bobby lives in an area that doesn't have great cell service, so she got a text because she's a member of one of these apps, and it looked like it was a string, like it looked like it was a long text. And sometimes when you get long texts, they come through in sections, like they'll come through in like 2 or 3 different texts. She only got one because she lives in an area that does not have great cell service. So she only got one text out of who knows many, if there was 2 or 3 that were going to come in a string. So she called me and said, I got this pre-recorded message. I want you to do a broadcast, get the word out. And I said, great, tell me the neighborhoods. And she's like, I don't know the neighborhoods. And I'm like, I thought you said you got a message. And she said, I did, but they talked really fast. I didn't write it down. And I jumped on my phone because my phone was buzzing. I looked at my text message, and I only got the first text message out of 2 or 3 that were coming in sequence. So just know these kind of things in our area can happen. Sometimes you're going to have connectivity problems. I've got people that are on this broadcast right now that are saying, I'll be back in a minute. I've got connectivity problems. Not me, but the person that's watching the broadcast. Bobby called and said, I don't know the neighborhoods because I didn't get the whole text. Go to these resources, download the apps so that when the evacuation order does come through, you are going to know, you're going to be one of the first ones to know, because those are the resources that go first. I talked to exchanged some emails today with the town of Lake Lure, and they told me that the best place to go for the most immediate notifications from the town is of course, you go to townoflakelure.com. That's where the most solid information is. And if you're looking for the most immediate information, what they told me today is that usually they will post on their Facebook page first. They'll post on their Twitter feed first. And then they will program it into their website, because on the Twitter is something they can do. Their 140 characters, they can blast it out. They can jump on their Facebook page, they can type it out, they can put a graphic on there, and they can blast it out. But for them to put it on the website, they've got to program it. They got to get graphics. They got to resize them. They got to put links up. So the website is probably the third place in line that gets the attention. So what they told me today is if you're going to spread the word to people, spread the word that what they're going to want to do is they're going to want to make sure that they are friended with the Town of Lake Lure's Facebook page. Go on Town of Lake Lure on Facebook, friend that page, so that when things come through, it'll hit your timeline. If you're a Twitter, if you are a Twitter follower, go to the Town of Lake Lure has a Twitter account. When these types of things come through, they're going to go to the immediate sources first. They're going to go to the sources that they have that deliver the message the quickest. And the quickest way for the town to do that, they told me today, is Twitter and Facebook. And then they do their website. So, and then so you got Twitter, you've got their Facebook page, you've got their website. Go to their website, download the apps, download that they've got 2 apps that you can get for your phone, and then you've also got Nixle. So you've got 5 great resources that you're going to go and do tonight. When you get off this broadcast, go do that tonight, because this is a pre-evacuation order. It's telling you get ready, because your neighborhood might be evacuated over the weekend or during these high winds that are due to come over the next couple of days. So if that evacuation order does come and you are already a member of one of those 4 or 5, you're a member of one of those 4 or 5 resources I've given you, you're going to be one of the first to be alerted. And Mariah, tell me, what is that? To listen to the emergency alert from the Town of Lake Lure. Mariah, is that the same message that's going out from the information line? Is it basically the same narrative that says high winds, Saturday, Sunday, pre-evacuation, and then lists the neighborhoods? Is that what the link is that's on the scroll here that you're putting out there? Yes. Okay. So it's another place you can go if you want to. I don't know if you can. You probably can't click that link on this feed, but you can write it down or copy and paste it. I don't think when links come through on these Facebook Live scrolls, I don't think you can press them and go right to the website. But when this recording is over, what you can do is replay it, and you can scroll with your finger through the broadcast towards this kind of part in the broadcast, and then those links become active. So you'll be able to go to some of these links that people are putting into this. And okay, so FYI, WIFF reported that evacuated residents will be allowed back in at noon tomorrow. There are going to be a lot of folks who are confused about if it's safe or not. Irresponsibly poor reporting. That is true, maybe. And I know the different news, but that's why I have tried not to be the purveyor of information, and we've had the town tell us, direct people to the town website, direct people to these resources. Please, Greg, we appreciate what you're doing, but make sure that these people go to these other resources, because you don't want to give them the wrong information. And what Leah's saying is absolutely right. Now what happens is these news sources might be a half a day behind. You've got a guy that comes out, he shoots some very pretty footage, he does a couple interviews, he finds out that perhaps some of the residents of Rumbling Bald get to go back in this weekend. They put their broadcast together, they send it to the studio sends it back, they upload it. Now you're a half a day behind. You've got broadcasters going out there saying, hey, hopefully Rumbling Bald can go back tomorrow. And then tonight we get a pre-evacuation order for more areas of Rumbling Bald. So what she is saying on this scroll is true. Just make sure that the place where you're getting your information is a quality source of information. I'm not saying the news is not a quality source of information, but what I'm saying is that the news might not necessarily be the most up-to-date information. You're going to get some very pretty pictures, some nice interviews, some human interest type stories. They're going to tell you what the acreage is, what the containment is, but are they going to tell you at 10 o'clock at night that there's evacuation order for these particular neighborhoods? They might, or they might tell you, hey, you're going to get to go back to Rumbling Bald tomorrow. Whatever you want to do, make sure you've got solid information. Go to Town of Lake Lure, download those 2 apps, townoflakelure.com. Go to the Town of Lake Lure's Facebook page, friend that page so you get their stuff on your timeline. If you're a Twitter user, Town of Lake Lure has a Twitter account. Go hook up with their Twitter account. You'll get those 140 characters that say, hey, go here, to get information on the pre-evacuation. For those of you who have jumped on here in the last 5 or 10 minutes in my long-winded dissertation here, there is a pre-evacuation order, for different neighborhoods. This is not an evacuation. This is a pre-evacuation, meaning start to plan, start to pack, start to make arrangements for your pets, start to make arrangements for your children, start to make arrangements for the elderly, start to make arrangements for your neighbors, start to make arrangements for securing your house. So this is a pre-evacuation order because of the forecast for sustained strong winds over the weekend. Saturday and Sunday, they have been talking about it now for 2 or 3 days, and they must be pretty sure that it's coming because they have now issued this formal pre-evacuation warning. Critical fire conditions because of sustained strong winds could happen Saturday and Sunday, and because of that, they are issuing a pre-evacuation for the following neighborhoods: Riverbend Highlands, Three Creeks, the subdivision of Three Creeks, which is off of Cedar Creek Road, the subdivision of Tatanka, which is off Buffalo Creek Road, the subdivision or the area of Rumbling Bald known as Schumann Estates, the part of Rumbling Bald Resort known as Apple Valley, portions of Buffalo Shoals Road. And if anybody could, type in for me again what portion of Buffalo Shoals Road. My advice would be, if you're on Buffalo Shoals Road, anywhere on Buffalo Shoals Road, just at least start to put it in your head. It might come my way. And Buffalo Creek Road. So Buffalo Creek, Buffalo Shoals, Three Creeks, Tatanka, Riverbend Highlands, Schumann Estates, Apple Valley. Pre-evacuation order means get ready, pack your financial documents, make arrangements for your pets, make arrangements for your kids, make arrangements where you're going to stay, how you're going to get there. Is your car in good working order? The last thing you want to happen is you got everything ready and your car won't start. Is your car in good working order? I mean, these things sound funny, and I've had to block a couple people on this broadcast tonight because, they start to make jokes when I make these comments like, does your car work? You got to think about this stuff. If you have a sketchy car, all the planning in the world is not going to do you any good if you've got a car full of boxes and your car won't go anywhere. So it sounds funny, but if you've got a sketchy car, at least make an arrangement. Call a friend and say, you know what, dude? My car's packed. If for some reason we get this evacuation order and my car doesn't start, can I call you? Can you come get me? I'm in Riverbend Highlands. It's 3.5 miles up gravel road. I got a pickup truck. Sometimes it starts, sometimes it doesn't. Do you have a car that would make it up to Riverbend Highlands to come get me if this order comes down? Prepare. Bobby made an excellent point. Bobby is my colleague in the office, most of you know, and she is on our Facebook account right now, on the Greg Balk account, and she is typing stuff in as I am reading this and talking to you. Medications. I have not talked about medications all night. What an excellent thing. It's a perfect example of what I'm trying to tell you. You have to prepare because there's going to be things you're going to forget about. I wish I had a checklist, and maybe tomorrow, Bobby, we can make a note to ourselves that maybe tomorrow, if we can find like a pre-evacuation checklist, there might be one. The town might not have one, but there might be one online somewhere where we could get like a pre-evacuation checklist, because there's ideas coming across this live broadcast right now I've never even thought about, like medications. You could run out of your house with your dog and your kid, and you could think to yourself, you know what, I made arrangements for the dog, I made arrangements for my mom, I got all my stuff packed, I got my important documents, I know where I'm going to go, I got a cool car, it's going to work. You get to where you're going, and you think, oh crap, I left all my medications in my house. The reason they're giving you this pre-evacuation order is think ahead. Plan ahead. Medications, excellent idea. My wife takes medications that have to be refrigerated. Do you have medications that have to be refrigerated? If you've got medications that need to be kept cool, make arrangements for that now. Put some freezer packs in the freezer, whatever you have to do. because you might be going somewhere that you might be staying with a friend, and but before you get settled, it might be a day or a half a day before you get where you're going. You get settled. I've got friends that are staying in Hendersonville. So by the time they pack up, they go around, they get what they need, they go to Hendersonville, they got to unpack, they get medications, they have to be kept cool. There's so much to think about. Um, it looks like somebody. Look at that. There's a list coming across the scroll right now. Things to think about for home evacuation checklist. You got to secure your house. You might be gone for a day. You might be gone for 2 weeks. Secure your house. Remove your flammable window shades, curtains. Remove your flammable stuff. Your close your metal shutters. Remove lightweight curtains. Remove flammable furniture. I mean, there's not only things to think about as far as securing your house for theft and burglary. What I'm seeing come across my timeline now are things to think about for securing your house against fire. Never thought of that before. I'm not a professional at this. I don't claim to be a professional at this. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make you think. I'm trying to prompt you to think. I'm trying to prompt you to jump online, not panic. Don't panic. This is a pre-evacuation order, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to prompt you to think, prompt you to jump online and research some of this. What are some things I have to think about? Okay, I thought about locking up my house, making sure everything's secure so my house doesn't get broken into. Oh my God, I didn't even think about securing my house for fire, about flammable things that might be near the windows, about clearing the limbs and leaves away from my house. Maybe you didn't think about that stuff. I wouldn't have thought about it. Tell your children the route to get out. Excellent idea, Vicky, because what we've been talking about here for the last hour is you might have a day or you might have a half a day when, if, heaven forbid, if the mandatory evacuation comes down for some of these neighborhoods, we have seen firsthand on Saturday what happens when it comes down short notice. I posted a video on Saturday, downtown, mass chaos. The evacuation order came down for Boys Camp Road. The evacuation order came down for the entire belly of the resort. The DOT was down there putting up roadblock flashing road signs. State troopers were down there blocking off the roads. Mass chaos. Can you imagine if these neighborhoods get the evacuation order kind of all at the same time? Talk to your children. Tell your children what's going to happen. If we get the mass evacuation order, we're not going to panic. We're going to be calm. We're going to get in the car. Here's what we're going to do. Talk to your kids about what's going to happen if it happens. Excellent, excellent idea. Fantastic, Vicki. Thank you. Anybody else who's jumping online, call your insurance company. Inquire about coverage for hotels. If you have if you're in an area where maybe we've listed these neighborhoods for you, and you've said, you know what, based on what I'm hearing, I'm in a pretty high risk neighborhood. I might be out for a couple of weeks. Excellent idea, Julia. If you've got a choice, maybe you want to get a hotel motel that's got a laundry and a kitchenette, so that at least while you're out, you don't have to go out every single day to buy food or to eat out every single day. You can cook stuff right there in your room. Excellent idea. Take your insurance policy with you. What a great idea. Who thinks about this stuff? Take your insurance policy with you, so that in the event that something happens, you know who to call. Funny story. While I'm trying to kill time and just keep this broadcast going for those people that are just now maybe they're getting out of the movies. They look at their phone. It's like, oh my God, there's a pre-evacuation order. I'm going to keep talking because people are going to get this, until we get down to where we don't have any viewers left, and I'll jump off. But I want to stay on as long as I can. Funny story for you. I was moving here to North Carolina from California. Big moving van, the whole deal. We loaded up all our crap, which I wish I would have never done. Shipped it all the way cross country. We drove cross country in one car. We shipped the other car. I brought my Sequoia, and in that Sequoia was a couple cardboard boxes with all my financial documents, wills, and whatever. That box got packed in the van, in the big monster cross country, whatever. What do we call the shipping band storage companies? So I drove cross country with none of the documents I needed, and it was going to be like a 3-week trip because I had my house closed to escrow in California, and I had about 3 weeks before I could move into my place in North Carolina. So I was going across country for 3 weeks with nothing. I had none of my pertinent documents. I had some payments that were coming due that I had to make. I thought, I'll make them along the way. I'll call them in, whatever. I had none of those documents with me because they went on the moving van. Total accident. Some mover just picked up the box, threw it on the moving van. I had none of my important documents with me. I panicked. We took care of it. We got through it, but yeah, it was an inconvenience because now I didn't have my documents with me. So that's something to think about as you scroll through, scroll back and forth through this timeline as you're listening to me. Maybe you are jumping online now for the first time. You're hearing about this pre-evacuation order. Maybe you already know that your neighborhood is affected. So you say, you know what, I'm just gonna stay on here for a little while and listen, because what's happening now is maybe an hour and a half ago, whenever the first order came down, the information about the neighborhoods affected was not readily available. I jumped online. I personally could not find much information about it online. It comes down to this is a fluid stuff. It happens very quickly. I'm sure that a lot of that's been caught up now. I would imagine by now the town's got it on their site, their Facebook page, Twitter's gone out, Nexel's got it. So what we're doing now is this conversation is kind of evolving into the people that are still in the broadcast probably know that their neighborhood is being affected. But now they're looking for ideas. What do I think about? What do I do? What do I take? Who do I contact? And people on this broadcast are putting emergency preparedness links on here. They're putting ideas on here. They're making great suggestions about pets, neighbors, elderly people, making sure your car works, making sure you plan for feral cats. Do your medications have to be cooled? Do you have to take needles and things with you for your medications? Talk to your children so that your children don't panic when this happens. Make arrangements for a hotel that might have a kitchenette so that you don't have to eat out 3 times a day for the next week or 2 if you get, heaven forbid, that evacuation order. So many great ideas. You guys are just awesome. One thing I want you to do, when we first came on, we probably, at the height of this, we probably had 175 people that were on here live. We're down to about 48. By the time I jump off this broadcast, there might be, I don't know, anywhere between 500 and 1,000 people that have jumped on, jumped off, or that have shared it and seen it in some other format. What I want you to do is do me a favor. If you are one of the 48 or 51 that are still on this broadcast, right now, at the bottom left of your screen is a button that says share. Here's what I want you to do. Hit that share button. And here's why. Say, for example, you're sitting in a movie theater and you're watching a movie. It's Friday night. You're out with your friends. Maybe you're at a bar watching a football game or whatever season this is. I'm not thinking about that right now when I'm doing this. Whatever season it is, you're watching the game. You're at a sports bar. You were at a movie theater. You're at your friend's house having a glass of wine. You guys are sitting outside by the bonfire. You get into your phone and all of a sudden you see, oh my God, there's a pre-evacuation order. What I want to happen is I want you guys to share this on your Facebook page, because what's going to happen is your friends are going to come in from that bonfire. They're going to come in from that movie. They're going to get home from their friend's house, and they might not know anything else about what's happening, but most people are addicted to Facebook. They'll jump on Facebook before they go to bed. Or a lot of people like me, what I do is I scroll through Facebook when I'm laying in bed before I go to sleep, because something about sharing that Facebook and just spinning through that feed makes me sleepy. If I'm sitting in a dark room and I'm spinning through that Facebook feed, it helps me go to sleep. It's wacky, but it helps me go to sleep. And I've noticed when I do broadcasts, when I do posts, a lot of the interaction that I get from people that do these posts, they'll be coming through very late at night or very early in the morning, because people will jump on Facebook first thing in the morning. They'll jump on Facebook last thing at night before they go to bed. They might not get this information anywhere else, but if you share this broadcast, they might not have got that voicemail. They might not have got that text. They might be in an area like Bobby where you got the text but it didn't come through. But they might get Facebook. They might see it come through their timeline. Can you imagine waking up tomorrow? Maybe you sleep in, maybe it's 11, 11:30, 12 o'clock. You think, oh my God, I worked my butt off this week. I was helping out with the fire. I was volunteering. I'm tired. I sleep in. And you have absolutely no idea this is happening. And maybe the one and only source where you might have seen it would have been Facebook. So what I want you guys to do is please go to the bottom left, hit the share button. Even if only one person sees this on Facebook because you shared it or because one of the other people on here shared it, if just one more person sees it and one more person is prepared because you hit the share button, that's awesome. So please, if you hit share, hit it now. Type on there that you shared, because if you type on here right now on this feed that you shared and everybody else sees that you shared, they're going to go, what are they talking about? And they see that button, they're going to hit share. Sharing this is the exponential power of Facebook. I've got 5,000 friends. If you've got 50 friends, that might see it come across your Facebook, that's the power of Facebook, guys. That's what we're doing here. We're on this broadcast together because we want to spread the word to other people. Hit share. If once you get off of here, if you go back through this broadcast and you look at it again because you're looking for a link, you're looking for a phone number, you're looking for a neighborhood, you're looking for something that somebody said about the Humane Society or what to do. After this broadcast after this, this is live, and then after it's done live, then it gets put on my timeline, and it gets put on your timeline if you share it, and your friend's timeline if they share it. Whoever watches it can scroll back through this broadcast, and all the links that you guys are putting in, all these links that you guys are putting into to this scroll, you can't push it right now, but after this broadcast is on your timeline, after the broadcast is over, those links become live. So whoever's looking at this broadcast as they scroll through, it's like, oh, there's a link from the Humane Society. They can hit that link after the broadcast is done. Those links go live. Wolfie. I see Wolfie's on here. I see somebody shouting out to him. I haven't seen his name come through the scroll. Wolfie's another big social media guy. Do me a favor, big man, if you would share this for me, blow it out there. I just met him. He's those of you that know him, I don't know him that well. I just met him, but he seems to be a big YouTube guy, a big social media guy. So Wolfie, if you can help me out, blow it out there to your network, get the word out, because what's happening up here, pre-evacuation order, because of anticipated critical fire conditions from what they anticipate will be sustained strong winds on Saturday and Sunday, they have issued a pre-evacuation order. This is not an evacuation order. Don't panic. It is a pre-evacuation order. And what that means is get ready. And somebody asked about Riverbend. Melissa, do you know if Riverbend's on pre-evacuation? Because I know that Riverbend Highlands is. I do not think, at least in the recording that I heard, it did not say Riverbend. It said Riverbend Highlands. If you live in Riverbend, is it a good idea to get ready? Absolutely. Why not, right? Why not get ready? Or if you don't pack a single thing, at least think about what you might pack if it came down maybe to the backside of Riverbend. There's parts of Riverbend that back up to some of these areas that we're talking about. Melissa says, yes, it is. Here's an example of the fluid information. And I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with either one of you. Melissa says, yes, it is Riverbend. Bobby is saying, no, the recording was just Riverbend Highlands. I don't know. I'm not the official purveyor of information. Call that number, 800-513-2500. I'm going to give you another number to call just in case you can't get through. It's a 336 number, but it is the same information line, 336-455-9641, 366-455-9641. That's another number you can call, which I think gets you the same place as 828-513-2500. That's where you can go. I see people asking what happened. Did what happened? Did the fire take a turn for the worse? What has happened? Okay, Rutherford County put out a notice. So Melissa's saying the counties put out a notice that apparently has included Riverbend. Riverbend was not included in the voicemail message that went out that went out from the alert. When I called into the number, it did not include Riverbend. But if Rutherford County has put out a notice for Riverbend, that's brutally important. That's another reason we're doing this, because One source of information says, yeah, it's Riverbend. One source of information did not include Riverbend. So what I want you guys to do, call that number. If you live in Riverbend, there's a lot of people that live in Riverbend. There's a lot of people that are not in Lake Lure right now that own homes in Riverbend. Riverbend is one of the largest, oldest, most established communities in Lake Lure. There are lots and lots and lots of homes in Riverbend. They're in wooded areas. Some of them, they're all on gravel roads. Some of the areas of Riverbend do back up to these other areas that are formerly on a pre-evacuation. And Melissa says now that Riverbend is now on that pre-evacuation. So what I want you guys to do is call that number, 828-513-2500. See if they have added Riverbend to that list. Melissa, if you could tell us where these people could find the Rutherford County information about Riverbend being included on that list for pre-evacuation, because what I want people to do is I want them to know that yes, it's formally been announced by this agency, by this website, where they can go to see it in black and white, so that they know that, yeah, I've really got to get ready. Because I might tell that to somebody. As you can see, what's happened on my feed here, sometimes we get jokesters. We get, not saying that you're a jokester, Melissa, but we get people on here that don't take it necessarily seriously. And what I want folks to do is be able to jump off of here and then go to these sources. Excellent. Look at the stuff's coming through right now. There's links. I do not believe you can press these links on this live broadcast. You might be able to on the recipient side. I know the links are not live on my side. I don't know if you can press that link as it's coming across your scroll right now. But I do know after this broadcast is over, you can replay the broadcast and these links become live. Or you can just jump on to your laptop or your tablet as you're listening to me on your cell phone or one device or the other. Go to some of these websites. Rutherford County Sheriff's Office has apparently put out the notice that Riverbend is included in the evacuation order. If somebody could do me a favor, it's a big favor. It's a big favor. If somebody could call the Sheriff's Office and just verify that they did not make a mistake, because I know for sure that the initial pre-evacuation order that went out did not include Riverbend. So if somebody could just call the Sheriff's Office for me and verify that Riverbend is on pre-evacuation. And here's why. There's a hell of a lot of houses in Riverbend. And if we're going to tell folks in Riverbend that they're on pre-evacuation, we want to make sure, because there are a lot of houses there. And there are a lot of houses where the people are not here right now, especially now where the weather's getting a little bit cooler. People have moved for the season. A lot of the seasonal people that move out of the area this time of year, or they're back at their primary residence because the holidays are coming, Thanksgiving next week. So there are a lot of homes in Riverbend right now that the owners are not here. So if there is an evacuation, pre-evacuation in Riverbend, we want to be 100% sure, because if that order goes out, there's going to be some folks that need help. There's going to be some folks that want to make sure their homes are secured. They're going to want their friends and neighbors to secure their homes first, and then maybe help them to secure theirs. Some people are commenting on people's pages that Apple Valley is evacuation by 10 a.m. tomorrow. Like I said, as I'm talking, I can't always read all these comments that are coming across. So if that, what's up, Hannah? If that does pertain to you, Hannah's on here. She's an EMT. Perhaps she can, share some information that she's heard. Maybe some more official information. She's a good source for this kind of stuff. Sheriff's Office notification gives the Party Rock info number to call. Very nice. We're going to assume, I guess, because it came from the Sheriff's Office, that Riverbend is on pre-evacuation. I don't want to be the one that gives the wrong information out, but I would rather be safe than sorry, and I do know that a lot of these areas in Riverbend back up to some of the areas that are formerly on pre-evacuation. Isn't this fun? Oh my God. It's cold. What we got here? We got sparkling ice. Yeah. See that? 0 calories. What? That's how I lost 21 pounds, guys. I drink this instead of beer. I got, what is this? I got black raspberry. If Bobby was here, she'd be throwing pencils at me, telling me to stay on task. And I got crisp apple and 2 blankets. I'm sitting outside. All right. We still have quite a few folks here. I don't know how many of you just jumped on, how many of you have come on and off, how many of you are new to this broadcast. Full moon, it's really pretty up there. A lot of you have probably heard by now, pre-evacuation order for about a half a dozen neighborhoods. If anybody could verify about Apple Valley on evacuation and not pre-evacuation. See, that's the hard part about this, guys. And, I've talked to Valerie Hoffman over at the town in Lake Lure. We have exchanged emails about making sure, she didn't accuse me of anything, but she said, please make sure the information that you give out is accurate, because there's so many sources of information that are not accurate, and the town is struggling with different places saying what's happening. Apple Valley. Now, Christine is saying about Apple Valley's on pre-evacuation notice. That's what I also heard, Christine, that it's pre-evacuation. I'm going to roll with that because that's the only thing I have heard firsthand, unless somebody can show me a page from the town or the county or the Forestry Service that says different. As far as I know, sitting in here at 10:30 at night on Friday, the only first-hand information I have is that Apple Valley is on pre-evacuation. It's important, because if it's pre-evacuation, you could have a half a day, you could have 2 days. If it's evacuation, you might not have but a matter of hours. So it's very important that as we all are on this broadcast together, that we all try and help each other and find out the information, because this is fluid. And what's going to happen is I'm going to jump off of here at some point. I'm only going to do this until my throat goes dry. Somebody's got to get home from the movies. They're going to say, oh my God, they're going to look Greg Balk's broadcast, and they're going to depend on this information. They're going to depend on what I'm telling them, whether they should or not. They're going to look at this and they're going to go, oh my God, my neighborhood's on pre-evacuation. Oh my God, my neighborhood has now been upgraded to evacuation. So what I want to do, I just called, it was accurate as of 9:30. And I did too, Christine. I called about whenever it first came through. I think it was 9:30, and I got that same. Did you talk to somebody, Christine, or was it recording? I got the recording that listed the. That listed the neighborhoods. Melissa is talking about neighborhoods that were also included, so let me read them for you. As far as I know, that they have not added to these, with the exception of Riverbend. We're trying to figure out if somebody's, if Riverbend is formally added to this list. Riverbend Highlands is Riverbend Highlands. That's a different section of Riverbend Highlands, Buffalo Creek Road, Three Creeks subdivision off of Cedar Creek Road. The subdivision of Tatanka off of Buffalo Creek Road. Of course, there's other entrances to there, but the main entrance to Tatanka, just for reference, in case you've got friends up there that might not be here, maybe they have a house up there, Tatanka, the main entrance off of Buffalo Creek Road. Schumann Estates, the Rumbling Bald section known as Schumann Estates. You are on a pre-evacuation. Apple Valley, the Rumbling Bald Resort Community of Apple Valley, you are on pre-evacuation. Buffalo Shoals Road, there is a section. There is a section of Buffalo Shoals Road that is on pre-evacuation. Christine Stark says, my Rutherford notice says Riverbend Highlands. Yes, that's what I have been told. That's what I've seen and heard firsthand. It's Riverbend Highlands. Will there be a major traffic jam if evacuation goes down? That might make you want to plan early. You know what? I have friends that were part of the pre-evacuation in some of the neighborhoods like Boys Camp Road, Firefly Cove, when some of that was coming down. They went ahead and left. They made arrangements, and they went ahead and just packed up and said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and go because it's probably going to happen. I'm in a high-risk area. I'm just going to go ahead and pack up and stay with my friends, my family, whoever it is that you would eventually go to anyway. What's the big deal? Because what you're going to do is you're going to make these arrangements anyway, especially if you don't have pets or kids. You're going to pack up your valuables. You're going to secure your house. You're going to make sure your leaves and limbs are away from the outside of your property. You're going to do some of that fire safety stuff when you get your house locked up and ready to go. What's the difference if you go a couple days early? Just go ahead and go if you can make the arrangements. What's an extra couple $100 for a hotel room if you don't have to sit in the middle of an evacuation? That's a really really good point, Rachel. Is if you look at the and I keep sending folks back to this video that I did on Saturday. You'll know which one it is. It's got a lot of views. It's got like 70,000 views. The reason it has so many views is because it gave a really, really good depiction of what happens when the evacuation order comes down quickly. The evacuation order came down quickly on Saturday for the main belly of Rumbling Bald Resort and for the stretch along Boys Camp Road. DOT came in with their signs. The state troopers came in with roadblocks, and it was chaos. Downtown, there were cars that were just haphazardly turning around in the middle of traffic. I was standing out in the road doing broadcasts. Bobby's yelling at me, get out of the road. It was chaos. So yeah, that's a really, really good point. Because there's a lot of these communities that all kind of are together. Shumont Estates, Apple Valley, Tatanka, Buffalo Shoals Road, Buffalo Creek. Those are all in a very small area where there's only one or two roads out. Those roads are one lane roads, and even if they closed them and made them two lanes going one direction, yeah, I mean, you might have some traffic problems. Lake Lure is an area where you've got one road that goes all the way around the lake, and a lot of these little roads that shoot off are just little one lane roads each way. So yeah, there might be some traffic problems. So plan early, make arrangements early. If you're saying, hey, I'm going to go stay at my friend's house, or I'm going to spend the weekend with my buddy or with my mother or with my friends, just go ahead and go. Pack up your stuff and head out. Beat the traffic, beat the jam up if it's going to happen. If it doesn't happen, so what? You had a couple nights at your friend's house, you took in some Netflix, you went out to a movie, they helped you out. You didn't have to, you didn't have to stress about it. Nothing happened, you go back home. That's the worst that could happen. And if you get out early and you avoid whatever little chaos there might be, then so be it. Everything I found only pertains to Riverbend Highlands. I believe that's true, Mariah. I think that, sometimes people kind of commingle Riverbend and Riverbend Highlands, and they are two distinct separate neighborhoods, and they are actually geographically, for the most part, pretty separated. There are some little offshoots of Riverbend Highlands that come down to down to Buffalo Creek, down towards Cedar Creek Road. And Riverbend and Riverbend Highlands are pretty spread out. So pre-evacuation notices have been sent to Riverbend Highlands, Buffalo Creek Road, Three Creeks, Tatanka, Apple Valley, Shumont Estates, Buffalo Shoals Road, north of Moffett. Thank you, Alyssa. That is exactly spot on. Those are the neighborhoods that were in that recording. One thing I do want to say about Riverbend, even though we've been talking for the last 10 minutes here about Riverbend, even if Riverbend is not on the formal pre-evacuation, if you are in town and you live in Riverbend and you live in the section of Riverbend that backs up to, there are sections of Riverbend, not Riverbend Highlands, there are sections of Riverbend that back up to Buffalo Shoals. There are sections of Riverbend that back up to, like if you're on Mirror Lake, on that back end of Mirror Lake, that backs up to the resort. So what you have to think about is, my neighborhood might not officially be on a pre-evacuation order, but where I live backs up to this neighborhood that is. So be smart. Don't just say, oh, my neighborhood's not. I'm cool. If you're 400 yards from a neighborhood that is, but just because your neighborhood's not listed, be smart. Plan ahead. Receive alerts on your local agencies. Sign up. Text your zip code to 888-777. How awesome is that? I don't know what service that is, but Julia's got one there, 888-777. You text your zip code and they send you alerts. It might be Nixle. Nixle's a great one. You can go to townoflakelure.com. You can download, one of them is called Code Red. I forget what the other one's called. You can go to townoflakelure.com and you can download apps there. They're kind of like a first responder, alerts for different things like fire, wind, storms, ice, missing persons, that kind of thing. Amber alerts. So you can get that through Nixle. You can type in what departments you're interested in. Like Nixle might be. And it looks like the one that Julie just gave out was Nixle. I know if you go on their website, or at least it used to be, you could actually pick what agencies you want to get alerts from. So you could, it used to be on their website. I don't know if it's that way anymore, but it used to be on their website where you could say, I want to get alerts from the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office, from Lake Lure Police Department, and from Lake Lure Fire and Rescue. You could actually list the ones you wanted to. I don't know if you can anymore, or if now they've just rolled it down to zip code specific. But don't forget to share this broadcast. Bobby made a good point. We say this over and over and over again, and for everybody that shared, what I want you to do is, as corny as it sounds, type in "I shared" or "shared," because if other people see that coming across their timeline, they're going to be like, yeah, he keeps talking about sharing, and I see other people sharing. What are they doing? At the bottom left of your screen is a button that says "Share." Share this broadcast, please, because if you've got a friend that's at the movies, at their friend's house, at a bar, drinking wine over at their mom's house, wherever they are, if they're out with friends this evening, they get home, they brush their teeth, they walk the dog, they go to bed, they lay in bed, they have no idea this alert has come down, no idea whatsoever, and they lay in bed, they're scrolling through their timeline, and it's like, oh my God, I got something from Nancy Humphreys. It says there's a pre-evacuation. I had no idea. Can you imagine if you wake up? Let me do my thing.
You done?
No. Why?
It's been on there for a while. Bobby says you have a long day tomorrow.
So I'm getting the word that I got to go. So we've been on here for a long time. Do me a favor, if you could please get her in. Do me a favor, at the end of this, if you will share this, please. Bottom left of your screen is a share button. Hit that share button. I'm going to jump off here, but if you all would share this broadcast, so that all your friends get it. Share this broadcast at the end. And if you replay it, if you go back and you look for a link that you want to hit because the broadcast is over, these links become live. Tag your friends. Tag your friends when this thing ends and it's on your timeline and you think, oh my God, I know this guy that lives in Riverbend. I know that person that lives in Apple Valley. Tag them. Send it to them. Share it with them. Anyway, good night. Thank you all for listening to me. It was long-winded, and the only reason I did it this long is so that people that were coming on, go as long as you go. I know, all right? Go as long as I could go. Yeah, I know. But hopefully we've done enough here. Hopefully we jumped on early enough to give people some advance notice. Hopefully, by now the information is out there, and we've alerted enough people by all of you sharing and getting the word out that, we're just trying to do our part to spread the word. So good night, everybody. Give me some love, some thumbs up or something. And we'll keep doing this as stuff comes through. Let me know that when you see this kind of stuff, and even if I don't know you that well, if something comes up like this, you're like, oh my God, they just added this community or whatever. Text me, call me, and if it's something that needs to go out, we'll get it out there. All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for jumping in, and I'm sure I'll be back tomorrow.